I'm Callie Plaguey. I'm here with Anton, Strenger, Senior Gameplay Designer at Firaxis, and we're checking out an early preview build of Sid Meier's Civilization 6. Hi, Anton.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
So, we're playing as the Aztecs, is that correct?
We are.
Montezuma?
Montezuma.
All right, so walk me through. So this is the first turn.
This is the first turn. We've just loaded into the game. We see actually a pretty good starting spot here. And we got some nice reflection off the water. That's really cool. One of the really cool things about the Aztecs is that they start with a unique unit right away. So normally we would start with our settler, which can make our city, and a warrior, but the Aztecs get the awesome eagle warrior. It's stronger than normal warriors, and when it defeats an enemy unit, it actually captures them and sends builders back to your empire, so we can use the sort of defeated enemies. They become part of the Aztec empire, and we improve our tiles. We can build farms and stuff like that. So it's a really great way to sort of be aggressive early on and
so
take advantage.
Rather than have to wait to get builders, you kind of get a built-in builder.
Built-in builder,
and builders are formerly known as workers in Civ 5.
Formerly known, yeah. They work pretty differently in Civ 6, and you know it's really interesting way to improve the tiles around your city. In general, the map is kind of the star in Civ 6 in a big way. There's a lot more decisions going into where you place your cities, where you place your districts, which hold all your buildings, where you're going to build your world wonders, and also how you're going to improve with those farms and mines that the builders do. So this start, for example, we got some mountains right here, which in older civilization games would be kind of a bummer, but mountains are actually a really great way to get bonuses from some of our early districts. So if we put a campus science district like right here next to these mountains, it's going to get a lot of science bonuses to help us get going early on.
Right, sort of like the observatory. I think later on in Civ 5 we'll do something like that.
Right, yeah. Kind of science and mountains are tied together in terms of the terrain bonuses.
Does it still give defense bonuses?
The mountains do, yeah. So normally units can't path over mountains like this, so it's going to be a nice natural barrier for us in any case.
Cool. So I guess we should place our settler somewhere.
We should,
and
yeah.
Get started.
Yeah.
So
let's, yeah. This is a pretty good place. So when we're founding a city for the first time, it's kind of important to also look for fresh water. So this is a nice river right here. It's going to give us kind of like get our city off the ground really quickly and help it growing immediately. So it's a good spot. This is our capital here. We've got some resources around too that we will improve with our builders, but let's go scout around and see if we can find someone to conquer and get some builders for free.
And so the Fog of War, I'm noticing, has been replaced by this cool sort of like classic hand-drawn map style.
Definitely.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, our whole aesthetic for the art style of the game is the sort of age of cartography. You can see that in UI, like the UI elements down here. A lot of the menus and stuff and the font choice is really about having that age of exploration and evoking those images. And that's most clearly seen in the map. So you can zoom out here and it looks like an old map that you don't know what's out there. And as you keep exploring, you get to fill in the blanks, and it just comes across really well aesthetically. It's one of my favorite parts of the game.
Yeah, I really like it. It's really beautiful, especially the you were talking about the reflections in the water.
Yeah,
it's one of the most noticeable things for me too.
Yeah, we have a time of day system, and it's probably most prevalent if we finish a world wonder. We can actually try to do that and see what it looks like. But it shows the wonder building up over time, which was a fan favorite feature in Civilization 4 and Civilization games before that. In 5, it got removed. We had these really beautiful paintings in 2D that were really gorgeous, but fans really liked having the video of seeing the wonder being constructed. So that's something we've brought back for Civilization 6. And not only do we see the video of it being constructed, but you see it in the context of your own empires. Like if we build Stonehenge, like right here, we're going to see it being built up right next to our capital city with these resources and any of the districts we've placed around it. And it's going to kind of show a time lapse from sunrise to sunset of it being constructed. It's a really cool visual.
Cool.
Yeah. So we can go for that. That might be a cool early goal for us, and especially if we don't find any early targets, maybe we can build a wonder instead.
All right, let's see how it goes.
All right. So we get our first production choice. We're kind of up along the coast here, and as a general rule, when I'm trying to play aggressively early on, especially as someone like the Aztecs, the most important part is finding a target.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to build a scout here early on to try to explore the world around me, get more of that map revealed.
Right. That's always been one of my first plays.
Yeah.
A scout. Especially if we're going to if we can attack somebody with that, what is that unique unit called? The Eagle
It's
Warrior?
the Eagle Warrior, yeah.
So, yeah, if we can get a builder with them, it'd be nice to have to focus our production on a scout, right?
For sure. Yeah, we could build a builder now, but, we might be able to get one for free, so maybe we can wait and see. As for the research choice, there's a couple different routes we could go here. These mountains, like I said, are going to be really good for some of the early districts. So astrology will give us access to the Holy Site religious district.
Oh, okay.
And the forests and mountains will make that more powerful if they're next to the Holy Site. We also have a little bit later writing, which give us the campus district, the science district, and that also gets the benefits from mountains like I was talking about earlier. So those are both nice early picks for if you want to build districts early on, which is a really powerful strategy.
Right. Is there anything that people who are really familiar with the Civ franchise should, has it deviated at all in this technology sheet? Because this looks
yes.
a lot more familiar to me, but also I'm noticing a couple things that kind of stand out. Like, it just... What is the one thing really to look out for if you're familiar with Civ? What's the change here, the main change?
I think it's too hard to pick one. I'm going to have to tell you two.
Okay.
So the two big changes. So these early technologies we can research kind of normally, but all the other technologies after that, there's these 2 boost requirements, and these are kind of like little side quests. It's all part of what we call the active research system. So based on the actions that we take in the game and the decisions that we make of what to produce and where to settle, we get these different boosts for different technologies. And that's going to change depending on what map we are and what direction we decide to expand. So for example, at irrigation here, we get a boost for it if we farm a resource. And if we look around here, doesn't look like there's any farmable resources nearby, but there is some sheep. We can make a pasture. I believe that's another technology boost here. Yeah, build a pasture. So if we build a pasture over that sheep, we get a technology boost for horseback riding, which is going to help our military and give us access to the stable as well as the horsemen.
So that was one of the main things I noticed is the 2 boost addition.
Yeah, and it's significant. Like when you get a technology boost, you get half of the research cost of that technology.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
It's a dramatic acceleration. Yeah, and if you're playing as China, you get 60%, not just 50%. So there are different ways to kind of toy with that number in an interesting way. So that's the first big addition, and I think it really changes up the game and makes every playthrough different. If you get a free boost for something, you might go off in another direction in terms of your playstyle in a way that you haven't explored before.
Right, so you kind of have to think on your feet with it if it doesn't go your way. If I wanted to boost, meeting another civilization, if I wanted to boost writing, but I didn't find anyone for a while, I might change my tactic.
Exactly, yeah. We noticed that in Civilization 5, as successful as it was, we wanted to get players thinking on their feet a little bit more. There were a lot of strategies that people learned to rely on, and the technology tree, since it was sort of separate from the map in a lot of ways, allowed players to have these sort of strategies where they would just kind of pick the same technologies every time. So the boost system is a really nice way to change that up and get players to be a little bit more adaptable.
Cool.
So that's change number 1. Change number 2 is that in addition to the technology tree, looks like it's become nighttime here. In addition to the technology tree, we also have a cultural civics tree. So
this is new.
This is very new, yes. So just as with research, you can unlock new technologies and things like units and buildings and districts. With culture, you unlock new civics. And there are many things you get in the civics tree. It's actually really powerful. A lot of the things that old-time Civ fans are used to unlocking with technology actually come from civics. This includes many of the unique units of the game. So, for example, Japan's samurai unique unit doesn't come out of the technology tree. It actually comes out of the civics tree. It's a cultural advancement for your people.
Makes sense historically.
Exactly. Yeah, with Bushido and the Code of Honor and everything. So you can get units, you get trade, access to trade units through the civics tree. But the biggest thing that you get out of the civics tree is governments and policies, sort of ways to lead your people forward. And they're a collection of very powerful bonuses.
Okay.
When we start the game, so we're researching this first code of laws civic. So we don't have a government yet. We're not civilized enough. But in a couple turns, we're going to have access to choose our first policies and kind of get that part of the game going.
All right. Was it Gods and Kings that had policies? So you could sort of pick... So that was kind of the foundation of that, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been a little while.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so... the sort of cultural systems there's been a lot of different takes on it in the past few Civilization games. Civilization 4 had, they also called them civics, but they were these sort of like easily swappable things where you could, have a certain policy for your people, and then you could, at the cost of a few turns of anarchy, you could switch to another one kind of as you needed to. Civilization 5 had these social policy trees. They're almost like little skill trees.
Yeah.
That's probably what you're remembering. And it was, expanded on in Gods and Kings and in Brave New World, both the expansion packs. And that was really successful in a lot of ways. But one of the things that some of the fans didn't like so much was that it was not quite as flexible. So once you had invested in a certain tree, like there was no way to kind of pivot your strategy later.
Right. And so it seems like both of these two changes you're pointing out are about pivoting and being able to pick up and change kind of your strategy based on maybe how the other players are going about what they're doing, their strategy, or, I play against computers a lot because it's fine.
Yeah, it's a good way to play. Yeah, so it's about letting players think on their feet, and getting them to adapt to the map, play a little bit differently at a time, and not having kind of one golden path of strategy to rule them all.
Right.
There's a lot of different ways to win and to play.
All right, so let's see what's coming up next. I'm excited to see what's around here.
Yeah, so let's start exploring here. That guy's giving his orders. Okay, so yeah, that's right. We were picking some technologies. So animal husbandry would be really good to get this sheep. So we can start researching that. Let's go to the next turn. All right.
Okay.
So start exploring here.
That's really cool how that kind of the fog of war clears.
Yeah. Sort of like, someone's painting it as you're moving around.
Right.
There we go, some more. Oh, okay. So we've discovered a friendly village. We could send a scout or our eagle warriors to investigate it. So these are like a nice way. Longtime Civ fans call them goody huts, but they're kind of like little bonuses scattered around the map. And exploring early on, you get an advantage by uncovering a lot of these for yourself. Right. So we can move here and see what we get. Oh, okay. So we got a free technology boost from it.
Oh, I love when that happens.
Yeah, so it's really nice.
We got astrology.
So we got half of astrology. Instead of having to do the normal sort of mini quest for getting the boost for astrology, this village is given it to us for free. This is the technology that's going to give us access to that religious district.
Right.
So this is a case where it's like, maybe I wouldn't normally go for the religion game, but I have this free boost that's going for me. The map is giving me these mountains that are a really nice religious spot, so maybe it's something I'm going to try this time.
Right, so even on turn 4, we're already kind of reshaping where we're going with this.
Exactly. So yeah, scouts are going to be the best at exploring. They get to move a little bit faster, but the eagle warriors have quite a lot of strength, so... Oh, okay. Oh. So up here...
We met somebody already.
We did. This is a city-state. So they're a small player. They only have one city. They're not playing to win the game, but if you invest in them diplomatically, they can give you a lot of bonuses. This is a cultural city-state. So since we were the first player to meet them, actually, this is another sort of incentive for exploring early on. We were the first major civilization to meet this city-state, so they've given us a free envoy. Envoys are sort of like diplomats that you send to city-states, and the more envoys you send, the more bonuses you get.
Okay.
So we have an envoy for free here, which gives us some culture in the capital. It's going to help our borders expand, and it's going to help us get those civics more quickly.
So we're off to a really good start. We've gotten half of free technology. We've gotten a free envoy.
Yeah, we got this cultural city-state here. Yeah,
this is a solid start.
It's going pretty well.
Sometimes I reset if I don't like the start I got. This is one of those ones I'd keep playing.
Yeah, it's going pretty well so far. Yeah, we got like a nice sort of protected area too, so I don't think our capital is ever going to be in too much trouble.
Yeah, we have the water and the mountains on the other side.
We do. All right, so. Next up, we could keep building scouts or eagle warriors to explore. We already have some culture from our city-state, so I don't think we need a monument. But yeah, let's get another eagle warrior.
You really want to exploit the unique unit while it's still effective, especially when it's one of the starting units.
Yeah. So we actually kind of have a conundrum. We could attack this city-state.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, okay. Our capital's grown already, which is really nice. So we have more people to work the tiles and stuff. But yeah, so... This is kind of like an interesting conundrum we're in, because we got a free envoy at the city-state for meeting it first. But, our Aztec unique ability, would be really nice to use on this weak little city-state. So I kind of have to decide, like, well, do we we could go to war right now. It's turn 6. We
Right.
could start attack, and we don't have to go for the city itself. We can just try to attack this warrior, get some builders to bring back. I actually did that in a game just earlier today. Just declared war on a city-state as the Aztecs really early on.
Oh,
So I don't know,
deja vu.
yeah, so I feel like maybe we should scout a little bit north, see what other threats might be here, but that might be something we could do.
We can get violent. That
Yeah.
would be interesting.
Yeah. Another thing that would kind of factor in this decision, so one of the big changes to city-states in Civilization 6 is that each one has their own personality. So this is a cultural city-state, as I mentioned before, but each city-state also has unique bonuses. If we happen to become the suzerain, which is the ally of the city-state, this city-state, Nan Madol in particular, gives us a special bonus that nobody else in the game gets.
Oh, okay.
So Nan Madol's unique bonus is that our districts that are on or next to coast tiles produce additional culture, which is actually a really good
We have a lot of
bonus.
coasts.
Yeah, so like any of our districts here. So, so this is a tough decision because, I kind of want that warrior for a build. So it's kind of like a short-term or long-term thing. Like, I could
Right.
invest in this city-state who's a neighbor, get this bonus really later in the game, or I could attack it now and hope to get some builders.
Yeah.
Since we're doing a short playthrough, I'm kind of tempted to go to war with them.
Short game versus long game.
Yes, exactly. So let's scout a little bit more, but then I think our next Eagle Warrior might have enough of a force to be reckoned with for these
There are
guys.
no dogs in heaven. Then when I
I do
die,
like the short game idea.
I want to go where they went.
Hungry.
There's Sean Bean reading our technology quotes. All right.
Okay.
And there's some more ocean up here. Okay, interesting.
We're like surrounded on all sides. There's a lot of water.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm trying to think. If we want to be aggressive, it actually might be good to get archery, so we can get some archers in case we need to back up our assault. So let's try doing that.
Okay.
Actually, I think we're about to...
Man
yeah.
is the noblest of all animals.
So now we've finished Code of Laws, which is our first civic, and doing that lets us set our first policies for the game.
And these are the ones that are more easily changed and
Exactly.
pivoted. Okay.
I like to think of it as kind of a middle ground in between those systems from Civilization 4 and 5 that I mentioned earlier.
Right.
It allows a lot of flexibility, but you still have some permanence to your decisions. I'll kind of like walk through how that is. So we start out with Chiefdom. It's kind of like the basic government that you get after Code of Laws, and it has room for one military policy and one economic policy. And these policies are slots that we can we unlock different policies as we go through the civics tree, and they become more powerful over time. So we have the option between these two military slots and these two economic policies.
And is there a cost if I wanted to switch? If we picked urban planning, for instance, and then I wanted to switch to God King, is there a cost for that, or is it interchangeable?
Right. It depends. So each time we finish a new civic, we get the chance to sort of reform our government for free. So we can swap out our policies freely with any of the ones that we've unlocked. But there could be a time when, we're kind of in the middle of researching something that's 10 turns away, but someone declared war on us, or, we're in kind of a dire situation.
Right.
We can come here and we can actually spend gold to sort of grease the wheels of our politics and sort of like change governments or change policies quickly.
And bribe the government a little bit.
Kind of, yeah. Not cynical at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it adds up over time and it gets expensive if you do it often. But yeah, every 10 or so turns you get the chance to sort of swap for free. So it's a nice chance to sort of step back, take stock of your strategy, and kind of think about how you want to move forward.
Okay. So we're playing the short game now. So which of these two do you think, for each section, do you think are going to be most useful to us?
So I think we haven't really run against barbarians yet, but having extra combat strength against them in case we do will be very valuable.
Yeah.
If we're trying to attack a city-state and some barbarians come up and try to mess with our plan, that would be bad.
Right.
And urban planning has production for all cities. We only have one city right now, but production is going to be really key for getting a lot of military units. So I'd say those are the two picks I would go with.
All right.
So let's do
That
it.
sounds good to me.
Yeah. Okay, so let's investigate this a little bit more. Yeah, he looks like he does not really have any friends around, so I think it's safe to
Isolated.
go on the offensive. Yeah. All right, so we get to pick a new civic. Let's see. So foreign trade will give us access to trade routes, which are pretty useful. But let's look at the military policies, because that's what we really want. This will give us some naval units. This is okay. This will give us bonus production towards ancient and classical melee units.
Is
So our
the-
archers and our eagle warriors.
The Eagle Warriors are melee, so we really want to take advantage of those early game units, especially for a unique unit for a
sure.
civilization.
Yeah, so I think this is our pick, craftsmanship.
Yeah.
If we happen to get improved 3 tiles, we get a boost for it, but since we're trying to get our builders from attacking, that's probably not going to happen in this game.
Right. We don't necessarily need the boost. Is it the boost is more? Is it sort of a side goal? You said you described it sort of as a side quest, so we don't necessarily need to shoot for that, even though
Exactly.
that civic is going to really help us in other ways.
Yeah, we can always research technologies and finish civics through just the raw power of our science and culture output.
Yeah.
But the boosts are definitely a big advantage to that. So if you can play and unlock those, it's going to be very helpful.
Okay, this is a good place to wrap up for now. Next time, we'll be taking on a war. Remember that a lot of the values we saw are subject to change, but it's been really cool to see the updates coming to Civ 6. And for all things civilization, you're already in the right place, IGN.